Hello, hello. Welcome to today's first Saturday shift. I am Cortne Lee Smith of the Relationship Service Station, here to give you tools and teach you how to use those tools to thrive on your relationship journey. Today, we are on part 3 of this shifting through grief to get beyond loss. And in this season, where we're talking about lockdown, where we're talking about isolation, where we're talking about separation from others to avoid being infected, I thought this was the perfect time to talk about us and our relationship vehicle, us the vehicle. If you know, we've been talking about a vehicle, and I'd love for you all to go back and watch part 1 and part 2 of the first Saturday shift. We are talking about you are not alone. You're not alone in your journey. You're never alone. Sometimes we choose to be alone. Sometimes we don't. We choose to not let people on the ride, or sometimes we choose to allow the wrong people on the ride. Today, I'm going to talk about 2 types of people, a positive and a negative, and sometimes this becomes our discernment, our issues. And this is where on this ride, we're going to have to determine if we allow people to stay in, or is it time for them to get out for their particular destination. They're not supposed to go all the way with us. And let me say that because we're talking about grief and we're talking about loss. We believe that everybody that we're connected to, for some reason, is supposed to be with us for the rest of our lives. So when we lose them, when they depart from us in any form or fashion, we become devastated. But check ourselves to make sure that we have not actually taking on something longer than we should have, and it was not supposed to be a lifetime journey with this individual anyway. God has already predetermined time with each and every person that we connect with. So let us be obedient to that timeline, whether it's a person, whether it's a situation or a circumstance. We've all lost something and we thought it was supposed to last longer than it did. But if we know that God has a plan, God has a plan. He's already predetermined the time for every situation, every circumstance. Now, are we obedient to that timeline? All right. Today, we are talking about you are not alone. And we're not alone because there are people on this journey who are supposed to help us experience God's best for our life. God's best for our life. So on this journey, we're always supposed to be moving forward. Now, there are other people who get us going from the left, from the right, every place but forward, and focus on God's plan for us. Today, I want us to jump into 1 Kings. I want to talk about the value of picking up hitchhikers. It's the value of picking up hitchhikers. I know probably all your life you have been warned against hitchhikers. Don't pick up hitchhikers. Don't pick up strangers. And let's talk about it in the sense of here in the flesh. When we talk about hitchhikers, we talk about people who want to ride with us, who want to take advantage of whatever it is that we have, and we feel like we're taking them to the next level. But ultimately, you were already going that direction. Why do we have such a problem of taking somebody where we were already going, as long as it does not keep us from getting there? That's the key. As long as it doesn't keep us from getting there. So let's talk about hitchhiking. And y'all gonna get with me. So it's very important. This hitchhiking concept here. These are destiny helpers. And you say, how can a hitchhiker be a destiny helper? If it's a true hitchhiker. I'm not talking about people on the side of the road who playing game because they trying to take your car. Those are carjackers. Those are not hitchhikers. They just present themselves as one thing. Those are carjackers. They want your car. They want your life. They want to take something from you. But a hitchhiker wants to ride with you to a particular place, not for a lifetime. They want to ride with you to a particular place. They already have a pre-assigned destination that they're trying to get to as well. So remember that. And we have a judgmental attitude about hitchhikers. We presume they have nothing. We presume they don't have a particular destination. We presume they are less than us in some perspective. So all of those presumptions are bad. That means we've started to prejudge people based on our own halves. But the thing is, pick up the hitchhikers, and you'll understand, because then you won't be alone. It'll help you move forward. So journey with me to 1 Kings And First Kings, we are going to be in 17. And I pray this blesses you all to move forward on the journey when you know that you are not alone. A lot of times we need that concept. And the heading on here, it says, Elijah stops the rain. He announced that a drought was coming. A drought is coming in our lives. But you don't have to go through the drought alone. So it says, Elijah was a prophet from Tishbe in Gilead. One day he went to King Ahab and said, I'm a servant of the living Lord, the God of Israel, and I swear in his name that it won't rain until I say so. There won't even be any dew on the ground. Later the Lord said to Elijah, leave and go across the Jordan River so you can hide near Cherith Creek. You can drink water from the creek and eat the food I've told the ravens to bring you. Okay, so let's be clear on there. God was already providing for Elijah. Elijah did not need anyone else. God was already providing. The ravens sent him food, and he placed him and positioned him somewhere he was going to be taken care of. Just because they're a hitchhiker does not mean God is not already providing for them. God was already providing for Elijah. He was already going to a particular direction where God had sent him. So there was no need for anybody else. God had him. And that's what there is not a need for anybody else. God has all of us. But are we obedient to pick up the hitchhiker? So Elijah obeyed the Lord and went to live near the Cherith Creek. Ravens brought him bread and meat twice a day. He was eating good off the ravens. Bread and meat twice a day. And he drank water from the creek. But after a while, it dried up because there was no rain. It dried up because there was no rain. But then, as the story continues, the Lord told Elijah, go to the town of Zarephath in Sidon and live there. I've told a widow in that town to give you food. So, as we move along in this journey, he's already prepared to the next place to sustain him. So, the hitchhiker was sent by God. Notice that there's a lot of times that the hitchhiker is not from God, because that's another assignment. That means they're not true hitchhikers. God sends the hitchhikers in our lives because we are supposed to sustain them for a period of time. If we're obedient to God. So now let's talk about this. Hitchhikers. And I know we've been told from early age, don't pick up strangers, don't pick up strangers. But we have to have ability of discernment, because in the Christian body, in our loss, in our lack, we must realize that we have to do something new, connect with some new people, get into a place where God can take us. And how do we do this? Because if we are picking up hitchhikers, we have an experience with new people. Now, because the widow woman did not know Elijah, but as we continue in this story, he went there and he said, would you please bring me a cup of water? He asked, and she left. There was a question. He did not mandate it to her. He just asked. He never even told him he was assigned from God. That is the key in our life. We have to know when we are picking up people of God. We have to have that discernment in us to know that the hitchhiker is sent by God. And when they ask for the ride, we are willing to give it. The vehicle that God, are we willing to use our vehicle in every instance the way that God has called us? And of course, all of us have missed the mark. We have not picked up the hitchhiker. We still were moving along. And you say, well, I still moved forward. Yes, you did. But would you have gotten further? Because in this story, without the hitchhiker, the widow and her son were going to die. They had one meal left. Because of Elijah's presence and their obedience of the widow woman to pick up Elijah and sustain him for a period of time. It allowed her life to be blessed and multiplied as well. So the key here is we miss out on a lot of blessings on the journey because we don't pick up the hitchhikers. Yes, we get to our final destination. Yes, we are moving forward. But are we thriving? Are we multiplying? Are we getting all that God has assigned for us on this journey if we forget to pick up the hitchhikers? So as we move along, that the key part is Elijah's destiny was tied to the widows. They were tied together for a period of time. They moved along. They moved together. And the key with a hitchhiker is you're not making U-turns. You're not making detours. They are already on the path that you are going. It is so God can actually do more for you through this individual person. Because if she had looked at Elijah, he's made a determination. He don't have a place to stay. He don't have anything to bring me. He don't have a job. I just lost a husband. I don't need no man living off of me. I'm already going to go home and die. I don't need an extra mouth to feed, an extra person to take care of. But however, due to Elijah's anointing and his obedience, he was actually helping her. That is what we have to know on the journey. The hitchhikers are there to be destiny helpers along the journey. So moving forward, if we keep along in with Elijah in this story, and we jump to 17, and it says, several days later, the son of the woman who owned the house got sick, and it kept growing worse until finally he died. The woman shouted at Elijah, "What have I done to you? I thought you were God's prophet. Did you come here to cause the death of my son as a reminder that I've sinned against God? Bring me your son." Elijah said. Then he took the boy from her arms and carried him upstairs to the room he was staying. And further down it says, the Lord answered Elijah's prayer, and the boy started breathing again. Elijah picked him up and he carried him downstairs. He gave the boy to his mother and said, "Look, your son is alive." "You are God's prophet," the woman replied. "Now I know that you really do speak for the Lord." Along the journey, a hitchhiker will keep you moving. She will not allow anything additional to die in your life during their presence. That means they're not going to take from you. They're not going to steal from you. They're not going to destroy anything. Your life is going to be, it's going to breathe. It's going to birth things. And that's the key of identifying a hitchhiker, is things being birthed or new things coming along. How are you prospering? And that is very crucial during this time to identify if you got a hitchhiker in your life. You got a hitchhiker in your life. They're not going to allow anything else to die because God has placed them there. And that is key. God has placed them there. So the placement, the positioning, the timing, yes, what she had pronounced would have come true. Her and her son would have died if she had not been obedient and picked up the hitchhiker, Elijah. And you say, well, he wasn't a hitchhiker. Yes, he was, because God sent him there to stand at the wheel, to wait for some water and to wait for some bread for somebody else. So he needed another vehicle, another vessel to sustain him during the drought. Yes. So who are we not willing to sustain during the drought because we're not willing to pick them up, open up our houses, open up our vehicle, open up our hearts and our minds to someone during this time because we are so busy, consumed by our own grief, consumed by our own loss. Those are the things on the journey. So picking up hitchhikers is crucial to your own healing. Picking up hitchhikers is crucial to you experiencing God to allow the best in your life. Picking up hitchhikers is to multiply your own blessings. That's not the only story in the Bible where we're talking about hitchhikers. If you talk about Ruth and Naomi, if her daughter-in-law had not hitchhiked with her back to her land, she would not have been the multiplication of the blessing of receiving a grandchild and living it out in a different way if she had went it alone. The key is we like to do so many things alone, which we do not have to do if we pick up the hitchhikers. Let's get out of this perception that we have of hitchhikers are negative. Hitchhikers are going to hold us up. Hitchhikers are not. The thing is staying to the timeline. When is the hitchhiker supposed to get off the ride? And that's the key between Elijah's relationship with the widow. He only was supposed to stay with her during the drought, during that season. Now, this is when we mess up in our vehicles. We allow people to ride with us past the drought season, past their prescribed time, past the time that God has said they were supposed to be with us, because we have enjoyed their company. We have enjoyed what they have done for us, or we feel like we owe them because what has been done. She could have felt indebted to Elijah and he would have never left. But the key is it was because of God that was in him. These things happen. Let's not confuse the God in somebody with the person and the vessel that it is, because they will turn from a positive, from destiny helpers to destiny destroyers. And that is when they become hijackers, because you begin to worship them and not recognizing the God in them. And you think you need them in order to provide provision. You think you need them in order to get to your destination. There was a dual purpose of them sustaining each other for a destiny, for a period of time that was prescribed. So understand, hitchhikers only stay with us for a period of time. And let's not use the negative connotation of hitchhikers. Hitchhikers are destiny helpers. Destiny helpers who jump in the ride when we are obedient to pick them up, to sustain us, to multiply our blessings, to keep us alive, and to not allow anything else to die during that prescribed time frame, so that we are strengthened, so that we become stronger in God. So the thing is, during this time, we become more trusting of God. We see his blessings, we see his manifestations, and the thing is, yes, we are going to get there because it's our destination, even if we don't pick up a hitchhiker. But look at what you miss. You miss experiencing God in a new and different way. And that is key for everybody that's watching. I want you to identify. You can look back and say, hey, there was somebody who was trying to ride with me, somebody that I needed to pick up for my own benefit, so I wouldn't be alone on this journey. Because one thing about a hitchhiker, if you notice, her son stopped breathing. He died. But the thing is, Elijah scooped him up. He picked him up. He pushed her through this by going to God in prayer for her and causing her son to breathe again. So the thing is, if your vehicle breaks down, your destinies are tied together. So they're going to get out and push with you. They're going to get out and push with you to help you get to your next, because their next is tied to you. So you want to have somebody who's in there, who's encouraging you to go on, because they're needing you to move for them to get forward as well. They're needing you to move so that you can see God's glory in them. They're needing you to move forward. So don't get connected with somebody who don't want you to move forward, who don't need you to move forward, who is not attached to you reaching your next place. That's hitchhikers. Hitchhikers don't want to just ride anywhere. Which hitchhikers are asking you to take them to a particular place. So Elijah was coming to say, sustain me during the drought. And while you sustain me, I will multiply what you have so that you live. So that you live, your son lives, and nothing else dies during this period. Hitchhikers are crucial. Now, we talked about how hitchhikers can turn into destiny destroyers, hijackers, because we kept them too long. We kept a hitchhiker too long beyond their period. So let's talk about what we see at hijackers. And sometimes they were hijackers in the beginning. We were just so desperate for company. Let's make sure we discern and get the right company. Alone sometimes is prescribed by God, because God is the only one that needs to speak to you. But in this, hijackers, that's when hitchhikers turn into hijackers, because we have kept them too long, or we have told them too much information. An example of that is in Matthew 2:4, when Herod was trying to get information from the Magi who were going to see the birth of Jesus. He was trying to find out where it is, where they're going. And the thing is, they could have allowed him to be a hijacker if they had went back through to give him the information that he was requesting. But the thing is, be careful when you turn around, make U-turns, go out of your way and get off of your path of destination to give them information on somebody else. It will also destroy your destiny. Stay true to your destiny. Do not give up information. If they want to go to the next place, or they have a ride or some place that they're already trying to go, take them. So when somebody's hijacking, they should already be able to let you know what it is they need. Elijah said, I need bread and I need water. So that means he knew what he needed to sustain him. When somebody you're picking up, they say, hey, I need you to take me down in the next 10 miles. You know how far that is. The widow woman knew that her time tied to Elijah was during the drought. When that season ends, when that circumstance, when that situation ends, that is when you need to let go. But if they cannot tell you what is the time frame that they are tied to you, they're hijackers, because they want you to ride them around and take them where they want to go. They want to change your destination to theirs, and because they don't have one. They don't have one. They want you to take them wherever it is they want to go. And we've all experienced people who have no direction. They are not following God's plan. They are out here freewheeling and listening to nobody except whatever it is they want to do in the spur of the moment. And those are the people that you cannot have ride with you. They will have you all over the place, all spread out, emotionally drained, spiritually drained, physically drained. And then you will have run out of energy to move forward. And they will leave you and jump on to the next vehicle, and you will be destroyed because they have got you stuck and buried in a place that you have no strength to get out of, because they will take every bit of fuel that you have to move forward. And that's the difference. Hijackers are destiny destroyers. They are lined up with the enemy to come kill, steal, and destroy your destiny. And that is key along this journey for us to be able to identify the difference between hijackers and hitchhikers. We have to be able to discern who is God calling to go on the ride for us. So make sure when you're on this journey, a lot of us have become scared. We have put up blocks. We have put up walls. We have shut doors. We do not want to let anybody into our emotions, because there are a lot of manipulators out there. There are a lot of people who are trying to take us a place. They don't want us to get through grief. No, they want us to get stuck in grief, because there are people who want to be victims for the rest of their lives, and they need you to be a victim for the rest of your life so they can manipulate you. They don't want you in a place of thriving, and we must pray for God to send us the correct hitchhiker. There are some of us who are watching this and they need a hitchhiker right now. They need a hitchhiker right now to get them to the next financial place. They need a hitchhiker right now to provide a meal for them. We all need hitchhikers at different points in our lives to take us from a place of where we feel we have nothing else to live for. That was the widow woman. She felt like she had nothing else to sustain her, nothing else to carry her on. We need an Elijah to show up and give us God's experience so that we can get through that drought in our lives. We can get through there and we can be thriving in the midst of the drought. So no matter what you've lost, no matter what you're grieving, you can thrive in the midst of it. And that's the key, thriving in the midst. So there is 2 lessons in this. Discernment. Number 1, we have to be able to discern who rides with us. That's the key part. Discerning who rides with us. Number 2 is what is the time period for that ride. These are not lifetime rides now. We mess up when we connect to people and we feel like they should be our life partner. We end up marrying somebody, getting in a relationship with them. And that's not what it is about. It is about God helping us see him. God helping us see him. And I know that's my assignment as a hitchhiker. I hitchhike on your journey, because your journey is taking me to my next place. I'm not hitchhiking because I just need to be left on the side of the road. Your journey is taking me to my next. So I've hitchhiked on this ride along because now you're sustaining me and I'm going to reveal God's glory through me, and it's going to bless you and multiply you. But see, you looking and saying, well, you don't have anything I don't have, but you don't have the God that's in me to help sustain you through the drought. Recognize that sometimes there are people who want to give you the God that's in them that's going to sustain you through the drought. We are so caught up in the tangible that you can't pay my bills. You can't do the things in the flesh for me. So remember, there is no limitations on the people that God want to connect you with. So saying that, beware of the hijackers. Beware that you have not allowed hitchhikers to turn to hijackers. If you have questions for me, definitely you can post them right here with the video, or we can talk right now. But if you want to reach me outside of this video, outside of the showing, you can always contact me here on Facebook at the Relationship Service Station. Send me a message, or you can contact me via text at 678-718-5019. And as always, I enjoy being here, a part of the I Am Her platform. We are healing here on the platform, and it is to get everybody and to empower them. So we are healing women across the nation. So join in and be a part of this journey. If you need to be healed, if you need to be walked through this grief journey, definitely connect with me so that we can thrive on this together. So I thank you for jumping in and joining us.